the poetic edge, of the poetic unsettling, on why it is. And I think over the course of a number of investigations like that, he could potentially, and a lot of artists do, create a number of works that, that eventually you know that this is how they generate these works, but, you know, this numerical imposition to alter reality. So, but I think the other one is not a part.
Would you even notice that there's something natural about the image?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
It looks to me like a...
If you look at it for 5 seconds, no. If look, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the middle one.
It looks like a train set. Well, I mean, we can argue the point, but I think it is so. And I think it has value in its subtle, unsettling quality. Why it's unsettling and what the source of it is yet another issue. I think if it didn't have an impact on it, it would be a problem. I think if the mountains look either just exactly like regular old mountains, this looks like a train set. This doesn't look like a real place. Yeah, I mean, the train set with the landscape, fake landscape behind the city. There's something unnatural about it. And the fact that it's subtle is about, it's not like, oh yeah, what did we do? You don't even notice it at first. So anyway, let's move on to another one.
All right,
but
second thing.
There's a lot of opportunity in what you're talking about.
The second thing that I tried to explore was the matter of identity and me being a graphic designer. So that's kind of what you saw on the wall back there, which is it's basically an unfinished piece because it took me just ridiculous amount of time just to get it right. So basically what I'm doing here is just building up this big image of myself based on business cards and just pin to the wall with all my information and everything. So basically this took me like about 6 hours. I just couldn't find the rest of the time. This is basically what I was aiming for. It's basically just 2 business cards, all identical information, different colors. And with these 2 business cards, I actually, up to this point, I was able to build this much. And I got 2,000 of them, so I'm pretty sure I had enough for the whole image. But it's something that I was exploring, and basically, using a business card as, and the play on being the image of me, being the information of me, and just being pinned down to the wall, just available to everybody to grab one and just pretty much consume me in a way. That's one. That's another idea. I mean, just finish. It's just
that's a cool idea.
Yeah, that is.
So they're business cards that you created, and the colors you picked, are for the purpose of creating.
Yeah, so it's basically just 2 business cards with 16 colors. I mean, front and back, it just have 4 colors, and I just rearrange them just to make this image. So it was taking me a long time just to make them all straight and everything just to fall in place and actually make the image and not just be random.
I think that's one of the best ideas I've seen in a while.
What?
I think that is one of the best ideas I've seen in a while.
Thanks.
How did you make those cards?
I did.
Is it somewhere, or did you actually paint on it, or
How did
you create
the cards? I printed it. Like, you send it to a printer. I've made the file, sent it to a printer. They printed it on the press. I mean, and they shipped it to me, and I got it. And I just started painting the wall. I mean, they're there if you want to see them. It's business cards that I would sell. No, yeah, it's not that expensive. Cheap. How many files? 2 files. 2 files. 2 files, 1,000 parts of each.
There's so many colors, I don't understand.
Well, you want me to grab a card? You want to see it? Because I don't know. Is that multiple colors on one card?
All the cards aren't the same, but they are.
They are. There's only two types of only 2 types of cards.
There's 2 different cards.
Yeah, and that's it.
Front and back?
Yes.
So
I get all the colors. Just pick one front, one the back. I guess.
And then is there a predetermined system to lay them out, or do you do it by eye?
Well, I was looking at my picture and trying to do it by eye because I pixelated my picture to kind of get an idea of how many cards I needed to print. So I needed an idea of like, okay, is this going to be 6,000 business cards or just 2,000? It ended up being, I only need 1,300 and something, so I printed 2,000 just in case. And, but yeah.
You definitely need to finish it.
Okay.
I agree, it's a really strong. Very simple, very clean, consistent in some funny way with the word before it. There's this mathematical overlay kind of thing. It's all about identity, and I love it. Do it.
Thanks.
Okay.
Even as an interactive.
Yeah, it does.
I never actually had an official business card. If this becomes it, I don't mind it.
No, it should become. It does matter. It should be your business card.
Okay.
In a way, if it's not your business card,
Then yeah, it is forced and it's fake. It's just a made up thing just to fit the
the
purpose.
fact that your business card was defined by this other operation is also it's great. Next.
So while using like all the information that I have with this one, I was trying to explore another aspect of this. So I made this website. I'm just gonna say what point I forgot to open it. So give me one second. Let's pull it up. Oh yeah, that was it. Okay. So basically, it's the same image that I pasted on the wall, and it's basically just controlled by sound. So every time you walk by the piece or see this thing, you will actually pick up the voice from.
Is that what it's doing now?
Yes. It's a bit. This is a business card image. What I was trying to play here is just the interactivity with it, and being in school, being always told what to do, being always either being put down like this is not good enough, try again, or something like that, and like interaction of the people while they see this thing, and the fact that they have to do something in order to get me, in order to be able to see the piece. So.
I think there's. If this is a great piece, but this has got to be in a place where it's quiet, because otherwise, if there's too much noise, it's gonna get lost. You know what I mean?
Well, it pretty much depends on the proximity of the person to the input, which will be the microphone. If you place it next to the piece,
right.
It's only the sound that's next to the piece. Right now, it's picking me up because it's using my camera.
Okay.
The more interesting, it might be somewhere else.
So the self-portrait is the business card image?
Well, yeah, I use the same image. Basically, I had that image, and it's basically just a headshot of me, and I just used it.
You mean it's the original picture?
Yeah, that the business card is made.
It's the original picture that I pretty much split into different sections, and that's why it's so fragmented, and it comes together with as sound increases, it just comes together. So, if you want to see it all, you pretty much have to yell at this thing.
At its loudest point, it all syncs.
Right? Yeah. If you just make a lot of noise, you'll have the full image.
It's gonna get loud.
Why it's not a clear image? Is it because of the way
It's because you get to control when you get
the sound controls the sound?
Yes. If you.
Can you hold the tone?
It's gonna be loud.
Can I hold the tone?
Hold it loud enough so we can see it.
There you go. Okay, so why is it still pixelated?
Why is it pixelated? That's the base image that I use. I was doing this as I was doing the other one. Still experiments. You think that takes away from it?
I think there's another opportunity there, but I think it matters.
Okay.
So I don't know how how to resolve it, but it seems arbitrary, and that image doesn't connect somehow. Like there's no reason for it to be pixelated. You know, and I think the relationship between the sound, the commitment of the viewer, and what they ultimately get to see, how they see you, also is an opportunity to do something more. And I don't think
that's doing it.
Yeah, and actually that image in its sliver form isn't it compelling enough to make me want to make a louder noise to see what it, the hint isn't great enough.
All right.
It looks, what's that on the screens? But, you know what I'm saying? You have this other opportunity now. I like the idea.
Well, yeah, I used the pixelation because it's easier to fragment. I mean, it's either a color or not a color, so it's easier to split up into pieces. I mean, I totally understand. I mean, I did it because it was the easiest and fastest way to get this across. But then again, that's totally doable, of course.
Yeah. I think there's things too, like, we have to take into consideration that it's going to be interactive and presented. You're going to have like a provocative thing about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like, I think the most interesting thing is like when it is completely black, and then you have some side of external provocative element that makes somebody come up to it, and then the mystery of it being shattered when you speak. Like that's like the most powerful thing, I think.
Yeah, it's not provocative.
I kind of feel like you're relying on whatever tool made this has shock value, but then after that,
yeah, I mean, I did it because it was fast, and it's the easiest way to split this image and get it done. I mean, if I spend more time on it, then I have to
but I think you have an opportunity.
Okay.
And I like it also as a self-portrait.
I
think it makes sense to keep it a self-portrait.
All right, then the other things that I was looking into, it's now that I did my face and I just thought of somebody's face being, kind of like your signature in a way. That's how people recognize you. That's what people associate with who you are, your personality, and all those things. Then I started thinking, in Minecraft, logos, that's what it does. And a corporation just being considered now a person, that's their face. So I started playing a lot with, because I had this issue with, social media, Facebook and all these things, posting a lot of pictures of somebody without their knowledge or without their control or things like this. So I started thinking, how does a company control these little settings that you have on Facebook for people not to post pictures or not to be involved in you? And I find that copyrights that's how they protect themselves. So I started experimenting with what copyrights are. So I did. I started. Let's see, what's the video? All right, whatever. Okay, I uploaded a whole bunch of videos into YouTube, just basic images of logos. Yeah, that's an idea. I guess I'll tell you in a second. So basically, that's all it is. That's right. Gotta shut down this one. Sounds crazy. Okay, so basically, it's just a whole bunch of corporate logos, and it's in a way, it's their face to the world. That's how people know what they are because they have no human anything, so whatever. This is just a symbol that's probably like the exception of all of them.
I'm offended.
Okay. So I put all these things, and the next thing I know, I get an email from YouTube saying that I'm using copyrighted material on their venue. So next thing I do is, where's my mouse? I split them all up individually, and to see which one it's the one that they set up. Exactly, which one set up the trigger? Because apparently they match everything that you upload to YouTube. They check it to something that's already registered. So I uploaded all these logos that I put in there and see which ones came back as a match or something like that. And then what I was trying to do, because I'm still waiting for those emails. I don't know why it's taking so long. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get them. It's up until what point do they get to own this shape? This, for example, let's say okay, this. Up until what point does IBM gets to own this many stripes in that position? You know, because that's all this is. It's a whole bunch of stripes. You lose it. You lose it. It's a number of stripes in a particular position against white. So up until what point does this become their face? So my next thing is try to abstract these things up to the point to see, try to experiment with, how far does a symbol transmit a meaning, and up until what point it becomes just a random shape. So that's my next thing. So the other thing that...
Can we see it?
No, because I'm waiting for the email. I'm trying to see which one is the one they got before.
Well, isn't that... I like the idea, but isn't that just you and YouTube? I mean, it's what YouTube thinks. It's not... Is there a bigger...
It's the fastest way that I can cross-check that something's been copyrighted and registered.
It's very narrow, because it's their opinion in a way. Like when you shift this, like let's say you just change the font.
Yes.
You keep everything the same. You just change the font, and they don't have a problem with that. That doesn't mean IBM's not going to have a problem with that.
But I mean, well, what I'm trying to get at is that I can. If they have a problem, that's the thing. I mean, if the symbols still transmit that information just by the shapes or colors, I mean.
Maybe you should ask the company straight.
What's that?
You should ask the company jobs.
No, she asked the lawyer.
But actually, I think there's a bigger, more interesting thing, which is to ask the viewer that if the swastika is the most kind of difficult, but if you take something like IBM, but something in IBM in a way isn't common enough. So, but if you take something, maybe FedEx one of them, and you find one, and then you shift it, and then you just have them like a chain or something, and see when they lose their brand. Like what is it about them that holds the brand? Because it's not just the issue of the legal opinion. Because from the corporate world wants to own everything. If there's any doubt, they won't. And they'll take it to court. But from the standpoint of the public or viewer and perception, and how does perception influence brand? When does it become not a brand and when is it a brand? That's a bigger question, and you've got the viewer to deal with. What I don't love, I love the idea, and I love the idea of investigating when something becomes an icon. When does a stop sign make you stop? I think that whole idea is really interesting, but I don't want to depend on one source for the opinion.
Okay,
and I think that's what's important. Because that's the flaw in the logic here. But I love the idea, and I think you can keep it narrow for graphic design's sake, and explore how brand, because then you can turn it back around and learn more about how to empower the brand.
Yeah.
If you understand the moment when it loses or gains its iconic graphic status, then you can make something, you can empower something else. And you can even experiment with it. You can take the other side of it and take a whole range of things that don't have power and empower them, including your self-portrait. That's where you could, I think it's really rich ground to explore. I would continue with YouTube, and I would continue messing with them, but I just would have you understand that it is flawed.
Yeah. Well, this is like my start, because it's really like the fastest way to find out something.
But it doesn't tell you that.
Yeah.
It just tells you something.
It tells me somebody did it on this.
Right. And again, understanding when in doubt, they're always going to be on this rule on the side of, it's somebody's. Because they don't want to get sued. That doesn't mean that it's actually working. Whereas the viewer, again, you put something you deface a stop sign in a corner of a busy street, And when do people not stop? I mean, it's a much more dangerous. I'm not advocating that, but it's the same sort of thing. I mean, I love it. I think but I think you've got a lot of opportunity.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Right. That led me to the other idea, which was, I mean, if you can copyright a shape and you copyright, colors and everything, you can also copyright images. Like photographers, they copyright their making of a photograph and the contents of it up to some extent. So basically, what I was trying to explore is that extent. I mean, how far can you explore that concept? So is it this? Okay. So basically, what I was trying to do now is, like, as I mentioned, this problem that I have with social media and people posting pictures of me or things that I own without me being able to control it, and things just become everybody's. Become no longer a property of anybody. It's everybody's. So if there's any way, if a photographer can actually own the content of a picture and the way a picture it's been done, I mean, can I own a picture of me? Can I own my face? Can I own the contents of? For example, I made this piece that is basically, it's an interactive piece. It's a 360 view of my face. And I mean, I chose this way to do it. I mean, it's a website. It's not for everybody. Maybe that's a flaw. But I made it into a website, so it's available. And also because this thing actually, the only way this thing can work, it's actually displaying all the images at once. So this is the only way I can spin myself. This is 72 images at once at the same time. So if I'm able to copyright this, am I able to copyright my face? Am I able to take down or sue anybody that posts any pictures taken of me or publish any pictures taken of me? I mean, am I able to own me at 22 years old? At least this part of me, of my physical.
Well, but I think you already do. I think that it's a legal question, and I think if a photographer takes a photograph of you, they have to have a release from you to use your image. But I think that there are contexts, like there are times when you're in the public, and the public has a public domain, and you don't. But a lot of times they have to get a release from you to release your image. That exists already. So you should call legal up and maybe get with
I sent you an email about that. I don't know if you got it.
I might have gotten it. I don't know if I read it. Okay. About what? About?
It was like, no, they were having a seminar. I was asking you, I mean, do you think this is a good thing? Since, like, I mean, you brought this all the other time.
Oh, no, it's definitely. But did you go to the one where we had the law school thing in McAllen?
Yeah, but that was like more for them than it was.
Yeah, but you could have asked that professor. He's going to come next semester. Okay. But you could have asked him that kind of a question. Because they're involved. But he knows all about copyright, and copyright is all about art. I mean, why you can't go on the internet and take stuff.